Officer Chandler had come to campus to arrest Damon, but everything went wrong. When the SWAT team got into a confrontation with the Brokertons' bodyguards, all sorts of important people started getting involved. Now even Mayor Francis and Mr. Upperton were at the scene. When Drew saw the mayor, he started feeling nervous. He knew his parents desperately wanted to stay on the mayor's good side. They were acquainted with each other, and his parents considered this a great honor. Drew could tell that the mayor was concerned about the Brokertons' well-being. Who were these people who had so much influence over all of Myerson's elites? They must be important figures. As Drew thought of this, he could not help but shiver. However, he still did not know about the relationship between Nancy and Damon. If he did, he would be even more afraid. Officer Chandler was also dumbfounded at this moment. He did not know what was happening either. Why were there so many people? Even the president of the university and the mayor of Myerson were here? These people were more powerful than his father. What was going on? Why was the mayor here? He felt afraid. He looked at his father's pale face, and he could tell that the situation wasn't good. He even forgot the pain in his hand. He knew that what he had done was actually illegal, because he didn't have an arrest warrant for Damon. This had all been for personal revenge, and now his plan had gone wrong. Even his father was involved now. Officer Chandler was finished. He looked at his father, trying to figure out what the captain would do. No matter what, his father had to save him. But at this moment, Captain Chandler was in trouble. He wished he could ask someone for help, but everyone had turned on him. Naturally, he was older and wiser than his son. He could see that Mayor Francis was close with the Brokertons. Mr. Upperton was also looking at them with concern. Obviously, the couple was extremely well connected. Even though his team had responded to a legitimate call, something didn't seem right. He suspected that his son had overreacted and called the SWAT team unnecessarily. Furthermore, the captain knew he himself had acted maliciously towards this couple just now. He had been out of line. A policeman was not supposed to act that way, regardless of who was involved. He knew his son's personality. Officer Chandler had likely done something against procedure. His son's behavior often made him feel ill at ease. If this couple pushed for an investigation into Officer Chandler's actions, even the captain wouldn't be able to cover his ass. All his son's past troubles might also come to light. As the captain thought of this, he quickly wiped the sweat from his forehead. Then, he went over to greet Mayor Francis. He was trying to find a way to apologize to Nancy and Robert. He would do anything to avoid being blamed for this situation. However, when Mayor Francis saw him, he just nodded and turned back to Mr. Upperton. After all, this was Myerson University, and the school's president was in charge here, right? In fact, the police were outside of their jurisdiction. This was campus security's turf. By coming here, the police had crossed a line. Captain Chandler saw that Mayor Francis didn't have any intention of responding to him. His expression was as miserable as could be. Mr. Upperton talked with the Brokertons for a while. Then, the bystanders heard Nancy loudly declare, "Mr. Upperton, Mayor Francis, these people have gone too far. They are arrogant and they think they are above the law. They even beat people up. No matter what, we must see justice." It was rare for Nancy to get so angry in public. How dare they attack her son? In her eyes, their actions were unforgivable. She wasn't willing to negotiate. Mr. Upperton nodded. Officer Chandler saw this and felt frightened. He knew that a catastrophe was about to befall him. Drew and the others were also scared and they wanted to run away. Many of Drew's friends had already sensed the danger and slipped away earlier. Now, the rest of them shrank back and ran away with their tails between their legs. They knew this was no joke. Even Mr. Upperton was there. If the university were to investigate this matter, they would all be finished. They might even be expelled. The few who hadn't left hung their heads and tried to disappear among the crowd. The arrogant expressions they had worn earlier were gone. They trembled with fear and worried that they'd be thrown in jail. Their faces turned pale. Everyone could see that things had gotten out of hand. They had just wanted to teach this annoying student a lesson, and they hadn't expected the situation to turn on them like this. Mr. Upperton nodded and pointed at Drew and the others. He addressed campus security. "Take these troublemakers away and question them. If they are behind this, we must find out the truth." The person in charge nodded. Drew and the others had sullen looks on their faces as campus security led them away. Mayor Francis turned to look at Captain Chandler. Although he was not the police captain's boss, he still sighed and issued an order. "Take this officer back to the station and tell the higher-ups what happened here today. Don't try to hide anything. I will be having a conversation with them myself as well." Poor Officer Chandler looked helplessly at his father, but how could the captain say no to the mayor? The captain nodded. Then he took his son's gun and badge and put him in handcuffs and helped him into the back of a police car. After the matter was finally settled, Mayor Francis, Mr. Upperton, and the Brokertons chatted for a while longer. The president asked them all to lunch, but Robert and Nancy still had business to attend to. After that, they all said their goodbyes. At this time, Damon was about to leave as well, but Nancy quickly stopped him.
Damon, wait.
He looked at her. What is it? His gaze was cold, and Nancy felt somewhat flustered. In a flattering tone, she asked,
Can you come with me for a quick chat? We can go wherever you want. Mom, I have something I want to say to you.
I'm busy. He couldn't be bothered to hear what she had to say. He turned around and was about to walk back into his dorm when 2 bodyguards blocked his path. He turned around and spat. What, are you going to use force? She shook her head and tears welled up in her eyes. She began to plead, looking as pitiful as could be.
Damon, I just want to say a few words to you. I have no other intentions. I helped you today, so will you listen? Is that all right? Please, I'm begging you, okay?
At this moment, Nancy would do whatever it took to make him hear her out. She would even kneel down and beg for him to listen. As long as he would let her talk to him, she was willing to do anything. Actually, he already knew what she wanted. He knew that this day would come sooner or later, but he hadn't expected it to come so quickly. He thought for a while and nodded. Okay, I'll give you a chance. Tears fell from her eyes and she kept nodding her head. Now that he had agreed to talk to her, the rest would be easy. Robert, who was standing behind her, felt his chest tighten. He took his wife's hand. Excitement coursed through his body. They went to a coffee shop on campus and found a quiet corner where they could talk. The 3 of them sat down at a table, and for a moment, the atmosphere was somewhat awkward. No one spoke. Then, Damon broke the silence. So, what is it? Tell me what you want from me. The Brokertons looked at each other. Robert did his best to calm himself, and he tried to make his tone as gentle as possible. You are Damon, right? Well, your name used to be Barrett Brokerton. Actually, I think you already know who we are and your relationship to us. Damon's expression remained blank. What did you say? I don't understand what you mean. What's the relationship between us? Then, with a look of sudden realization, he went on. Oh, I remember now. What's the matter? You suddenly got a conscience? Are you finally willing to admit all the evil things that your nephew did? And you are here to apologize to me, the victim? If the Brokertons hadn't done their homework on Damon, they would have been stunned. However, Nancy and Robert had known what to expect. Besides, they had been in the business world for many years and had encountered all kinds of smart people. Damon was a good actor. Unfortunately for him, the couple did not fall for his trick. Nancy stared at him. Her eyes were filled with endless tenderness.
Honey, there is no need to avoid it anymore. You are my son, Barrett. I just want to talk to you. Why didn't you come looking for us when you realized we were your parents? Do you really hate your father and mother so much?
Damon still pretended to be confused. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Nancy began to cry.
Baby, no. Don't be like this, okay? It makes your mother sad when you are like this.
However, Damon was indifferent. He seemed to think this was all a joke. He seemed to think she was just pretending. Robert did not speak. He was observing his son's expression. Even he had to admire Damon's acting skills. He wasn't bad at all. Finally, Robert pounded his fist on the table. He wasn't messing around anymore. You are Damon, right? Who gave you this name? He was trying to pressure their son into admitting the truth. Unfortunately, Damon didn't fall for this trick. He looked out the window and said slowly, You'd better stop being so arrogant. I won't fall for your tricks. And I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. I'm not your son, so stop bothering me. You're both being ridiculous, and I won't play along.